I always forget to unmute my mic. That's ridiculous. Like, I gotta like put a note on my screen that says turn on mic. Because I always be forgetting to do that. Okay, well, anyways, what I was saying was that today I feel like painting. And I watched Fantastic Four yesterday, so I'm gonna be painting the Fantastic Four. Probably not all four of them, because that's a lot of work. I might just paint Reed Richards today, or Johnny Storm. I haven't decided. Um, Hopefully my audio is working now. I think it is. But I'm gonna paint today. Yeah, I got sent some paints through TikTok that I have to make a video for, so I figured I'd try them here first, and then post them on TikTok like afterwards. But this is my sketchbook. I'm gonna do some sketches before I actually start like the painting process because I don't want to mess up. Hi hon, welcome. Am I lagging or anything? Let me know. My Wi-Fi has been so crap. Okay. Oh, I have like a notification thing. Click to read your notice. Oh, yeah. It told me my mic was muted and I didn't even check that. Okay, so let's do like a little sketchbook walkthrough too, because why not, you know? Like, this is my junk journal. I just throw whatever the heck I want in here. Got a lot of like random stuff in here, some stickers. So I'll go through this first. This is my like experimental sketchbook, which I really like. But yeah, I have some random drawings in here. My friend drew this cat, that's adorable. Some of my favorite drawings are in here actually. Like these two, my favorites. I did these with watercolor. I'm gonna use gouache today, which I'm really excited about. Here's a little watercolor painting. I might start with like a really light wash of watercolor and then move on to gouache, so we'll see. But for now, I'm just gonna do some quick sketches of kind of like what I want to do for this drawing. I think I'm gonna start by drawing Reed Richards because I think that's who I want to draw today. Like, I'm not really sure. I'll find out. Because I do really want to draw Johnny too, and I found a really good reference for Johnny. But I want to draw Pedro Pascal, so I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to do some sketches real quick and see, like, what I end up liking. Because I'm definitely going to, like, paint. Hopefully y'all can see that. I know it's kind of far away, but I think once I start painting, it'll make more sense and you'll be able to see more. When I'm doing traditional art, my process is kind of the same as my digital art. I start with basic sketch, then I move on to color. And my color, I start with a light wash, and then I kind of delve deeper into detail and stuff after I get that initial wash down. Hopefully y'all can see that. But Pedro Pascal is a very particular looking person. Like, he has a very distinct face. So hopefully I can get that right. And I love the suits in Fantastic Four. I watched it yesterday in like the middle of the night because I was like, man, why not? And I really like how they did the suits in the movie. I have talked about this before, that I've seen like every Fantastic Four movie, and I used to read the comics too. So this was I was so surprised by some things they introduced in this movie. I won't spoil anything because I know it like recently came out, so no spoilers. But I was pretty surprised by certain things that were in the movie that I was like, oh shit, they introducing that now? Dang. Because we all know how the original Fantastic Four movies went. They weren't the best. Like, they were camp and they were fun, but they weren't that good. Like, genuinely were not that good. So this one was better, and I'm very happy about it. Okay, let's see. So I need to up my brightness on my phone. There we go. I'm using my phone for reference because I don't feel like pulling up a reference on my computer. Okay, so what I really like about this version of Reed Richards is that it's Pedro Pascal. Like, let's be so for real here. Like, Pedro Pascal is where it's at. And I really, really like how they did his hair in this one. He kind of just looks like Pedro, but like with swoopier hair, you know? He was really giving Reed Richards vibes, which I really liked. I know a lot of people didn't really want him as Reed Richards because they were like, why does he have a mustache? Like this and that. I enjoyed it. I didn't care. I think comics are, and stuff like that are so up to interpretation when it comes to that kind of stuff, so I enjoyed it. Oh, I hate when my computer gives me like an antivirus protection expired notice. Like, leave me alone, please and thank you. Okay, let's see. So I usually, when I'm drawing a portrait, start with the mouth because it's kind of like my going off point of like what I'm gonna do for the rest of the face. And this, I'm trying to remind myself that this is just a sketch and I'm not trying to be too like serious with it. I'm just getting like lighting down and stuff and figuring out where things are gonna go, because I feel like I always need to do like a little warm-up before I actually go for it with the paint, because if I just start with the gouache I get tripped up and then I don't like how it looks. So I'm just doing a quick little sketch here, trying to make it quick at least, because I know myself and I tend to overcomplicate things when it comes to my art. Did my music stop? No, it's just playing the next one. Just like sketching out his features so I get like a good understanding of like what they look like. He's got a very prominent nose. He looks really worried in this picture, which I think kind of fits the vibe of Reed Richards really well. Okay. And I think this has to be closer here. Eyebrow would go there, and then this would be his cheekbone there. Right. Okay. This always happens though, where when I do the sketch, I end up really liking the sketch and then I don't like the finished drawing, so we'll see how this goes. Okay, see there's darkness there, really dark right here. Just kind of like goes into that. Hopefully y'all can see like what I'm doing. I hope so. I've never really streamed traditional art on Twitch, so hopefully it looks okay and everything's like looking good so far. Pedro's got such like puppy dog sad eyes. Okay, let's see. Definitely made his eyes too big, but I don't care. This is just a quick little sketch. Get the lay of the land. And then this one is here. There's a lot of darkness here. And then there's some here too. Like, why does he look so sad in this? So that's sketch number 1. Debating if I want to do another sketch. Okay, so I got a quick little sketch going. And then I'll do another version of him, like looking up. On the other, I'll do it on this page. And I like this one a lot too, because this one has really distinct lighting. So you'll see what I mean in a second. I guess I could just show you the picture. It's this. This is the reference I'm using right now. Okay, let's see. Yeah, he's got really distinct lighting in this one, which I really enjoy. And his nose looks super prominent, which I also really like too. Let's see if I can emulate that nicely. This will be more here, this is here, this is here, and this is here. Ooh, I think I'm gonna go for this pose because I like the lighting in this a lot. But I'll give him the blue suit and not the space suit, because I think that would look nicer. I was kind of skeptical of the new Fantastic Four movie, like, when I saw trailers and stuff, but I really liked it. I, like, really liked it. I think it's one of Marvel's best movies that they've done in a while, so good on them. Okay, let's see. His eyebrow goes farther down. He's got a lot of lighting here. This goes down like that, here like that, and then this goes down. Okay. I think this is making some sense. He's got that swoop going on there. And his ear starts here. When you're drawing a face, maybe I should explain my process a little. When I draw a face, I'm really paying attention to like features in relation to each other. So like I know the top of the brow bone is where the top of the ear would go, like kind of slanted down, and I know that the like corner of the mouth reaches like there and stuff, and I'm really trying to pay attention to like placement of things, because I think that's how you get the essence of a person, is by making sure things are placed in the right place. Like I feel like proportion matters, yes, but as long as you're like making it like even slightly look like the person, and you're like paying more attention to capturing their essence than like getting the proportions perfect, I think that's like more important, you know? But I do really like the lighting of this one, so I think I'm gonna do this one, yeah. We'll get this, his eyes here, some darkness there, some darkness here, and here too. And then he's looking up, so this would be like that. And then he's got his lashes going. That looks kind of bad, but y'all get what I'm doing, hopefully. Okay, I think I'm gonna start on the gouache aspect of this. I do really like this pose though, but I think this one will be more fun to paint. Yeah, let's do this one. Okay. So I'm actually gonna sketch in a watercolor pencil, because it's much easier to like figure out your lines and stuff, and like get rid of your lines and stuff. I bought Heat Gouache, but I'm scared to use it. Don't be scared. It's a really fun gouache to use. It's like one of my favorites, honestly. I'm excited to try this Meeden gouache because it's tube gouache instead of jelly gouache. So I think that'll be like interesting to see like what the difference will be and like quality and stuff. So we'll see. So I'm actually gonna just like really pay attention for this portion, so I'm sorry if I get kind of quiet. I am really trying to pay attention to placement right now. And something that you learn in painting like and like painting portraits and stuff is you kind of want to think about the form as an outline before you even think about features. So you notice how I'm not like doing the circle for the head and I'm not like doing the placement of the eyes. That's like the Loomis method or something. I always forget what it's called. But I don't do that method. I go for more of a angular, like I'm figuring out like angles of the entire form before I go in and like think hard about the placement of features. Because I feel like the more I think about the features, the harder it is for me to figure out the entire form of the drawing. So right, so I know like there's an angle here that goes up, it's like a little triangle there. And I know that's gonna go up farther. And there's an angle there. Maybe I can show y'all my reference here. There we go. So you can see what I'm drawing. There we go. Okay, so we've got like an upturned angle here, and then that goes up like that. And then this portion of his face here, he's got a very high cheekbone, but because of the fact that the eye is like at a, like the face is at a 3/4 view and going up, like he's looking up. So I really have to remember that too when I'm doing this. So this goes down here, and there's like a little bit of a curve there, and then his chin is here. Okay. And then the chin kind of curves in and goes down. And then this is higher up. This is at a higher, kind of more of a straight angle actually. And then this goes up here. And see, I already messed up and made his hair not far enough. So let's see, that would go back there. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just using a very like angular method for this. His ear would actually be more here. And then he's got his hairline here. And this is a little too far forward. And slowly it will start to make sense, like with what I'm doing here. And now I can get a little more fluid with it and figure out like where I want shadows to go and how I want things to look like in the end. So when I'm drawing, I'm just like I feel like digital art, I'm not thinking as much as I am when I'm doing traditional art. Like when I'm doing traditional art, I am thinking. I'm using like my whole brain to really like figure out like placement of things and how I want things to look. Because I feel like with digital art, it's a little bit easier to go back and fix things. With traditional, you make that mark, it's staying there. At least, you know, you can go over it with paint and stuff, but sometimes I don't want to. So I just kind of like to get that initial shape down pretty decent before I continue. Some thick brow here. And then we've got his nose here. And his nostril here. And I'm trying to keep in mind that he's looking up. Like, I'm really trying to keep that in mind. Because I have a tendency to make things look pretty, like, head-on. When I want things to look more, like, from below, I guess. Because he's looking up. So you would see his mustache here. And he's got a bit of a smile line there. And also, like, I like to keep my my paper at an angle so that it's not like distorted when I actually look at it, because if you're looking at your paper like this, it's gonna look distorted. I don't want no cheap viewers. Get out of here, bot. Ridiculous. I don't know how to turn on, like, can I get rid of bots on my stuff? Because it's annoying. And I'm actually gonna use, because I'm using like a red pencil, I'm gonna color in a bit of the like lip color, because I know it'll just like blend nicely later. And then he's got like hair down here, his chin goes up, and that goes up like that. Okay, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere with this. Okay, then he's got pretty intense line there. And a shadow here. And then this is where it gets kind of complicated for me, is when I try to think about the rest of the shadows. Like on the eyes and stuff. That's where I get tripped up a lot of the time. Okay, so it meets up here. I'm gonna zoom in on his eye actually. And I'll fix this all with paint a little later, but for now I don't wanna rely on the paint too much for structure. Okay. Okay. I think that looks decent for now. Let's see. Okay. He's got his beard there, and a lot of shadow right here. And then this is behind here. There's a big shadow here. And his hair kind of rounds out there actually. And I'm gonna put him in his blue outfit, because I think it'll look nice. And I remember one time I was out on a portfolio review and they told me that I draw the ear as an afterthought, and they were so right. So, gonna try not to do that. Okay, that'll do for now. And now I'm gonna paint, which I'm excited about. I think the sketch in my sketchbook looks more like him, but oh well. Oh well. I might fix the lips a little, but I'll fix that with paint later. His lips are so particular. Is my mic working? Okay, yeah, it is. I got scared there for a second. He has very particular shaped lips. And I think this goes out a bit more. And then this is more like upward angle. Down, Down. Up. Okay. He has a very prominent nose, which is awesome. Okay. This will do for now. I say as I continue sketching out some stuff. Okay, time to paint. Yay, I'm excited. I haven't painted in a long time, so bear with. Ooh, sorry, just shook the camera. Haven't painted in a long time, so bear with me. These are the paints I'm gonna use. No, I keep shaking the damn camera. Sorry about that. I think I'm gonna stick to my primaries. I'm gonna kind of use like my paints as if I was painting with acrylics or oils. So I'm gonna pull out the paints that I usually use, the colors I usually use. I usually use like a viridian green, any sort of bright yellow, a yellow ochre. I use like a crimson red, and a really bright cerulean blue. That's what I go for. And I'm also going to use Prussian blue. These are some nice paints. I'm very happy with these. Okay, I like the color choices here. Okay, I'm going to put these over here. Alright, I'm just going to put this over here too. And I have a very particular way of painting, so let's see if it translates well. Gonna put it, where can you see it? It's not there, that's for sure. Okay, yellow. I'm not gonna use a lot of these paints because they're water soluble and they're gonna stretch pretty far, which is good. I've never really used tube gouache. Actually, I have. In the past, I got sent paints from Ardix, I think. Was it Ardix? I don't remember what company it was, but a company sent me some paints in the past, and I tried those out, and I really liked those. Dang it, my headphones said battery low. I hate when that happens. And then I like to put my blues on the complete opposite side of my palette, because I don't want to, like, mix those prematurely. And then my white goes near my yellows and my reds. Like, kind of in between them. I'll show you how I set up my palette, and I use a lot of white. I'll show you how I set up my palette here. So it's usually my reds and yellows go on one side, my blues and greens go on another, and then the white is like in between them. Hi Weeb J, welcome! I'm painting today. Doing a little painting demo. I feel like I never paint, so might as well, you know? And I watched Fantastic Four and it made me really want to paint. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna keep my reference on this side. And when I paint, I like to use... How are you doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I was super tired earlier today, but I'm feeling better. I took a nap. When I paint with gouache, I like to use water brush pens. Kind of when I paint with anything, unless it's acrylic or oil paint, I use a brush pen because it's so convenient. Okay, so I'm gonna start with like a wash. I'm gonna treat this like a watercolor painting first because that's how I usually treat my gouache paintings. I like to do a quick wash of color first, and I'm gonna start with my like reddish tones, and I'm gonna keep a paper towel handy so that I can dab away my paint. You'll see what I mean here. Okay, and because this is a water-soluble colored pencil, it's gonna do its job here. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna do all the like red portions first. And just trust the process. I use a lot of water here too. Okay, so that's pretty light there, so I'm gonna dab that away. I'm gonna go in with my, like, on my darkest colors, and I'm gonna not dab those away. I'm gonna keep those pretty dark. Okay. And when I paint, I'm really thinking about, like, the angles of my brush strokes in relation to the painting itself, because that's gonna add a lot of, like, nice depth. I think, like, when I paint, I'm really trying to emulate a certain, like, the word sounds funny, but stroke pattern. And it works. Any tips on what to do if, let's say, you accidentally use the wrong skin tone marker on a traditional art piece? You go over it. If you're using markers, though, I've got some bad news. You start over. Because I know that feeling and it's not a fun one. But if you use, like, the wrong color, you can go over it with, sometimes what I'll do is I'll go over my piece with, gesso and, like, just cover the whole thing in white and then, like, start from scratch basically with the colors. But I don't really believe there's a lot of mistakes in traditional art. I think in traditional art, oh, sorry, someone was DMing me. I think in traditional art, you just have to go with the flow and you have to let the mistakes, quote unquote mistakes, happen and just kind of go with them and see where they take you. Because sometimes it makes things really beautiful. Something that you thought was a mistake can make something like really awesome. Hi Demi, hi Shay. Ended up going to more stores and then called my mom when I got home. I'm sorry for abandoning you. It's okay. You're forgiven. You are forgiven. Okay, so I'm gonna dab away some of the eye in there. And then for my blues, I'm gonna use a different brush pen. I usually don't do this. I usually just use one brush pen. But for this instance, I'm gonna use a different one. And for me, I like to take really intense creative liberties when I paint. I'll put this up here so you can see me mixing better. It's weird because when I test out a marker on a piece of paper, it looks like the right color. When I use it on my sketchbook, it's the wrong color and everything messes up. Is it your paper color? Or is it like is it maybe like the porosity of your paper? Because that causes a lot of differences too. Like the tooth of your paper, that's like a big factor. All right, so I know a lot of the shadows in this are warm toned, but I'm going in with blue because this is my process, and I use a lot of like weird colors in my process because it's just how I work. And I like using really striking, interesting colors because I feel like it adds a lot to a piece. I'm gonna dab those away. And then I'm gonna put some blue over here. And in the darkest parts, I'm gonna make it like really blue. Also, I'm using mixed media paper because it's my favorite type of paper. Okay. What's the exact purpose of a zero blend marker? I don't use those. They're to blend your colors, like, without having to worry about them mixing, like, you know, but I'm not really a huge fan of zero markers. I go for, like, I blend as I go, basically, with the color itself. probably the paper color. This is looking really cool so far. Thank you. Yeah, it's probably the paper color if you're having trouble there. And when it comes to zero marker, I don't really use it. I'm not a huge fan of colorless blenders. Okay, and now I'm gonna blend this with some of the red here. The thing I like about gouache is that you can really just like continuously go back and forth with it until you're satisfied. That's something I really like about this material. Is that if I'm not happy, I can just fix it. Okay. Now this is when I start using color in a more like purposeful manner. The markers I use are Ohuhu. I've never used those before. If that's what you mean, the Ohuhu markers. I've never used those, but I have used Copics, and I do like those a lot. I think when it comes to markers is one of the hardest materials in my opinion. But they're fun to use once you get the hang of them. But yeah, so now I'm going in with like a thicker paint, and I'm going in over the blue and kind of just like blending out a bit of that blue to make it less harsh. But when I'm painting, I'm really paying attention to where my highlights are, because I'm gonna keep those the paper color for now, because it just makes my life easier later on. And I just like mix little portions of other colors into the colors I'm working with until I am satisfied with the color that I have, because then I don't have to continuously mix and remix colors. I can just use the same colors, just like in a different manner. So right here, there's a lot of like orangey tones over here that kind of go up and turn into more of like a yellowy tone. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna dab away the excess. And I feel like my process is very much like watercolor painting, but with gouache. And then once I figure out like the general colors of a painting, it starts making a lot more sense to me, and then I can like really treat it like an acrylic painting. Because I feel like gouache is such a like interesting medium in the way that you can use it super opaque or you can use it really light. And I think that's awesome, because I love watercolor paints and I love acrylic paints. So the fact that I can do both at the same time, basically, is very appealing to me. Okay, let's see. So now I'm going to go in with a darker blue. And I'm going to use the darker blue. I'm going to mix some dark blue here. Can you see this? Okay, I'm going to mix some dark blue with some red, and that's what I'm going to use as my darkest shade, because I don't like using pure black in my paintings. That's mostly just a me thing, because I was taught that in school. So let's see. His brows are very dark, but they do taper out into like a lighter brownish color. So I'm gonna do that. And his brows are very like fuzzy. Like they're not very tapered, or not very like uniform. So I'm gonna brush a little bit of that off. And there's a darkest dark here. And there's one here too. And his nostril is like extra dark because of this lighting. So I'm gonna do that too. And I'm gonna do a really dark color down here as well. But this time I'm gonna use my blues. Because remember, I love blue shadows. I think they just look really nice. Also, if you're thinking about color zones of the face, that's like a really important thing too. I'm in the stream, but I'll be AFK for a bit. That's totally fine. No worries. No worries. How you doing today, Weeb J, though? Before you go, I'm curious. Hope you're doing good. Alright, so I'm doing my darkest colors here. And then he's got hair here too. And I'm gonna make his mustache pretty dark. And kind of dab away some of that darkness again. And then we're gonna put some of this here. And then I'm gonna start working on his, like, features more individually. So I'm gonna work on his lips right now, because that's something easy for me to work on. His lips are really pink in this photo, but I'm gonna make them a darker red. Like a more, like, intense color. And when I'm painting like this, I do bounce around a lot because I feel like I don't like to stick to one portion of the face, because then I get too into that portion of the face and then I like neglect the rest of the face. So I am gonna just like bounce around while I work on the lips, but I know my main focus should be the lips right now. Okay. Okay. There's a really dark shadow here. There's a really dark shadow here. And back to the lips. Okay. My headphones keep saying battery low. I'm not excited for when they die. Dark, the top lip is usually darker than the bottom lip, so I'm gonna make sure I do that. And then I'm gonna use this one as my, like, where is it? This one? I'm gonna use this one as kind of like a random little blender. Let's see. There we go. Because I still have some leftover colored pencil marks. Okay. Yeah, when I'm painting, I get really in the zone because, like, I know paint is a very, not fickle medium, but it's very, like, especially gouache, it's very particular. But I love it, so I don't mind. Okay, let's use some of that and make it less blue and more pink. And then there's also a really pink portion there. And a pink portion there. I think what I do is that I mix colors and then I just like paint on where I know those colors will be. So that I don't have to continuously mix the same colors over and over again. I just use them when I have them. I'm gonna dilute this pink a lot. And I'm gonna go back over a lot of these portions. He's got a very, like, pinky tone to his skin in this in this reference image. And I like to use like my white gouache pretty opaque. Because one thing you have to remember is that gouache dries differently than how it goes down. Most of the time it dries darker. Like darker colors dry lighter and lighter colors dry darker is what I've noticed at least. So I try to keep that in mind. Yeah, now I just get in the zone and paint to my heart's content. Just keeping in mind where the lighting is and where my shadows are and all of that jazz. I'm gonna go back in with this blue now and finish what I started there. And this blue is gonna go pretty high up. And I'm gonna kind of like pat it down so that it mimics hair. He's got like a grayish beard. And then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna like kind of brush it away with my paper towel. Okay, now I'm noticing that there's really warm tones over here. There should be warmer tones here. So I'm just gonna use my brush and really just make sure I get those warmer tones in there. There's even like a darkish purpley red over here. Kind of like a maroon color. When I'm painting, I really try to think about colors as exaggerated as I can get them. Like I like really, really look at the color. Like for instance, I'll show y'all what I mean when I'm talking about these colors, right? So here, it looks black, but there's like maroon tones in there and blue tones, and you see how here there's like a really big stripe of blue and stuff. Like I'm trying to really pay attention to like color zones and also like subtle colors of the face of this like portrait in particular. And I'm gonna be here for a while because these paintings take quite a bit. Okay, see, so there's a lighter color here in between these two that I don't want to miss. It's like a lighter maroonish color there. And then this is all pretty dark. And then I'm gonna make that dark bluish red again. I guess it's dark purple. And I'm gonna use that for my darkest darks on the ear. Okay. And there's a really dark portion down there, and right here too. Okay. Right. Did my playlist just end? No. Come back. Start over. Okay, there we go. Okay. And then there's really dark here. And I think a big reason why I like filming and stuff while I'm painting is because I use my viewfinder as like kind of like a flip situation. You know, like when you're doing digital art, you're like flipping the canvas and whatever. Um, I was taught to like put your work in front of a mirror so that you could like see what was wrong with it. Like that was a big thing, was that you have to like step back and really look. But when I can't step back, I like to have something that I can look at like on screen so that I can check like my proportions and if the colors look right and stuff. So and I'm liking this so far. I think I'm gonna do the darkness. I'm gonna build up the color of the eye because his eyes are really dark. I'm gonna let that dry. Okay. And then this is super dark here, so I'm gonna use that really dark blue again. And this whole area is pretty dark, so I'm gonna outline it a bit. I don't usually outline my work, but there's times when it calls for it. And I think now is one of those times. I'm gonna use dark red for this here. And your outline color really depends on like what color you're using, you know? Like right now I'm using a red because there's more of like a red maroon color on the nose. And then I'm gonna go in with my white and just kind of like fix some areas that I know are proportioned weirdly. I use my finger a lot for blending too, because it's just really easy. It's super easy to use. Use all the tools at your disposal, you know what I'm saying? This has to be thinner. This mustache has to be a lot thinner on that side. Okay. Getting somewhere here. And then this has to be farther out. And then this has to be brighter. Goes down like that. And here. And this has to be a little lighter too. Okay. Getting somewhere. And then his top lip has to be kind of blended out more and closer to the mustache. And then I'm gonna preemptively add this highlight here just so I can see what it'll look like later on. His nose is more curved, and I have it more upturned, which I don't like. He has a very hooked nose. And we'll get rid of this. I'll just make a little background color. Make my life easier. Okay. Getting somewhere, y'all. Yeah, painting is such a tedious process, honestly. Like, I love it, but sometimes I'm like, okay, like, when am I done? Okay. Okay. I need to fix his nostril. It looks wrong. Up and down. I literally, like, when I'm drawing, I forgot to silence my notifications. Hopefully y'all can't see those. When I'm painting and drawing, I talk to myself a lot, like, when it comes to where I want angles of things, and, like, it just helps. It really helps. Okay, that's looking right. Need to put more red on his nose. It's a little too blue right now. Let's see. There we go. That's better. I'm gonna just put it over the whole thing, except for that highlight that's over there. There we go. That's looking better. And there's a highlight here. And the whole top of his nose is pretty light. And then it goes up like that. Okay, this is starting to look like Pedro Pascal. Alright, let's go. It's getting somewhere. It's getting somewhere. Every time I started drawing, I'm like, oh no. Because I know it's not gonna look right until I put in a lot of effort. Okay. Now I'm just gonna start darkening up some details. Like his lips here. Something just fell in the living room and no one's home. So I'm not going out there. Absolutely not. One thing you can count on is I will never be the first to die in a horror movie because I'm a chicken and I will never go check if something's like out there. I'll always be like, nope, I'm not doing that. I can't with myself. My headphone is hurting my ear. There we go. Okay. Now I need this bright red again. With some orange or some yellow ochre. Gonna make a pretty orangey color. And now I'm gonna really hone in on some detail work of the face. This is when I start using my gouache like acrylics. Like smaller strokes, less water, and building up my color as I go. And don't be afraid to use your hands for blending. Okay. No, you laughing at me because I ain't about to go check if there's a serial killer in my house. Like, absolutely not. Okay. And now, I don't know if y'all notice, but here, there's some green there. Some green and some blues. And I'm very excited to start going in with like even crazier colors and really doing that. Ever since I got my cat, I stopped being scared of serial killers. No, I know my dog would like bark. She's like super loud. My dog is the most. My dog yaps. And I know she'd bark if there was someone in the house. So I never get that scared. Like, she will literally attack anyone who comes in the house, nice or not. She's crazy. Some green there. What? Why did you say it like that? Did I say it like that? I'm sorry. Shay, you're not allowed to make fun of me after abandoning me on Discord, alright? My cat would befriend the serial killer? That's too funny. You're literally not allowed to. Your privileges have been revoked, Shay. You're not allowed to my house this week. Actually, just don't show up. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Or am I? Until when? You're not allowed here at all. That's what you get. Girl, bye. I'll sleep in your driveway. I don't even have a driveway. It's New York, baby. No one has a fucking driveway. I mean, you do if you're rich. But that is not I. Okay, getting somewhere with this. Yay. I say that every 5 minutes because every 5 minutes I question if I'm actually getting somewhere. And I worry. I worry that I'm not. There's a lot of highlights around there. Right? Wait, I'm liking this. I like this drawing. It's check my stream manager. Who's in here? 6 people. Hello, my 6 friends. Welcome. I'm drawing. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. Okay. Sorry if I keep staring at the camera, it's because I'm looking at my drawing through my little viewfinder thing. You would see a lot less of this line here and more of it towards the back. Hey, yay! I'm really liking this. Oh, I missed painting. Every time I don't paint for a while, I go back to it and I just have the best time. Because painting is how I started out, you know? Painting was my original love. The first art love was painting. I just don't do it often anymore because I do a lot more digital. Yeah, now I'm just doing like detail work and stuff. And I'll go back to like overarching shapes in a bit. I'm just having fun with like little detail work right now. I keep looking at the viewfinder and I'm actually really liking this. How do y'all not get bored of me? Y'all are too nice. I get bored of myself. And then I'm like, what? How do y'all listen to me yap and not get bored? Thank you. I appreciate it. Because genuinely, I'd be like hearing myself and I'm like, girl, what the hell? Okay. I like how that shadow turned out. One thing I would say when you're painting is to really look back and forth between your reference and what you're drawing, because that's literally the only way that you're gonna like figure out what's wrong with it. Like, I'm constantly moving my head because I'm constantly checking my reference. Sometimes I'm looking more at the reference than I am at my actual drawing, which I learned in school. Sometimes we would do like blind contour where we weren't allowed to look at our paper, and we just had to look straight at the reference, and we weren't allowed to lift our pencil either. And I feel like that taught me a lot, actually, because it taught me how to really look at what I'm drawing and pay less attention to the page and more attention to what I'm like working on, you know, like what I'm drawing. In this case, Pedro Pascal. Okay, I'm gonna darken his eyes a bit. Using blue and the dark red, the crimson again, to make this really dark color. I feel like I hunch over even more when I'm painting than I do when I'm using my tablet. It's hunch city over here. Because my table's so low. And I don't like such a harsh line for the eye. Ooh, a bird just flew past my window. I don't like such a hard line where the eye is. So I use some white and blend that out a bit so it's not so harsh. And then I go in with a really stark dot of white. And that's the highlight of the eye. Have you seen Superman yet? Yes, I have. Guess who I'm drawing next? You can guess. I'm not gonna lie, I liked Fantastic Four more, but I did really like Superman. Superman was really good. I think I'm just more of a Marvel girly. Like, I love DC Comics, and I love anything that has to do with superheroes in general. But I think in this instance, Fantastic Four is more well made. But I did really, really like Superman. Superman was a fun movie. It was a fun movie. There were just parts of it that felt too Guardians of the Galaxy because it's directed by James Gunn. So there was parts of it where I was like, this is literally just Guardians of the Galaxy but Superman version. You know? And I get it. He's making Superman fun again because Superman was getting a little too dark there for a minute. Like, I loved Henry Cavill as Superman, but he was just like, I don't know. There was something off about his Superman in the way that like they made him too dark and like condescending when he's supposed to be like a ray of hope. You know? Like, being dark and condescending is Batman's job, not Superman's job. Let's give him some of his gray facial hair. Wait, I'm low-key eating with this drawing. Hold on here. I like really looked at it and I feel like it actually does look like Pedro. I'm quite happy about that. I was doubting myself with my sketch. Cause like, look at the initial sketch. The difference that some paint makes. This was the one I was originally gonna do. But he looks real sad. So I decided against it. Gonna be some highlight here too. It actually kind of overarches on that. Let's see. Some highlight here. And then there's definitely like a bright blue highlight. Kind of whitish, grayish blue highlight on his cheek. There we go. And this goes farther up. And then he's got the gray here. But his hair is really dark. So I'm gonna use that purpley blue mixture I made again. The one thing I really like about gouache is that you can reactivate it with water. So I don't need to, if I make a color and I really liked it, it's not completely dried out. It's still there, which I really like. Okay, I'm gonna focus here for a second. So this back here is super dark. This part's satisfying. Can I put you guys closer? Let's see. See if I can put y'all closer. There you go. Now you can actually see what the heck I'm doing. Let's move this down here. Okay, so this is really dark back here. Nice. And then it goes up. And this goes up more. And then there's a lot of highlights going on in the hair, so I'm gonna be a little less heavy-handed with this bluey color. Okay. I'm running out of water in this. Woo! Too much! Go that way! I didn't want it to go over the ear. There we go. That's better. The secret to gouache and stuff is just have paper towel with you at all times. And you're good to go. Because if you put too much paint down, you just dab it away. His eyebrows need to be darker too. Just slightly. And there's like a dark area right here. Really dark right here. Nice. I don't want to get paint on the rest of this accidentally. For the highlights of the hair, I'm gonna use like a lighter blue instead of white. Mix it with a little bit of white. And then I'm going to use white for a few parts of this. Just slightly. Okay, I'm gonna darken this area here. It's too light. I'm gonna use my other brush though. Okay. Wait. Why am I eating? This looks like him! Yay! And then with my little just water brush, I'm gonna blend this out a little. Oh, this is so dirty. Oh my god. Got paint everywhere on my freaking brush. Yeah, like, I want to make covers like this, y'all. Like, I feel like one day you'll see my work on a Marvel cover or a DC cover. Like, I swear. I promise. Hopefully. Hopefully, I promise. Because I want to do stuff like this. Like, I have such a good time drawing superheroes and drawing portraits. And I feel like combine the two and you got a comic cover, you know? Obviously, like, it's not that easy, but I would love to. That would make me so insanely happy. I think I'm gonna outline this in like a light blue. So DC and Marvel gods, if you're out there, DC Marvel publishers, if you're out there, please hire me one day. Manifesting that, because damn, I want to work for a comic company. I just want to make covers. I feel like that'd be so cool. Let's do this in like a light blue. Okay, I'm gonna do his suit now. I'm gonna add a little bit more blue to the eye here. Let's see what his suit looks like actually. Y'all, this is me. I don't know who made this meme, but this is me as fuck. Too real. This is about to be my whole personality, y'all. Like, y'all don't even know. Don't even understand. I'm about to draw all the characters. I'm about to draw everyone in this damn movie. Like, prepare to be sick of me. Man, I ran out of water in this one. Yeah, no. I need to use a different brush pen because I ran out of water in that one. Does this one still have water? Why are all these out of water? What the hell? What happened there? Come on, there we go. Put this here and continue with this one. Who would y'all want to see me paint? Me? Shit. Honestly, I would. I'd do it. Then get to it. Put the money in the bag and we'll talk about it. I get so scared that you can just like see my hair over here. JK, remember Deadpool or Alistair from Pokemon? Ooh! I would love to draw Deadpool again. That was super fun. I do love Deadpool. See this reference again. There's bright lighting here. I love him. Like genuinely. He's very baby girl. And no one can deny that. Let's use this color. This has to be brighter here. And so does this here. And then this has to be darker. Here. I want to make sure you can tell he has his like gray stripe there. I think you kind of can. Yeah, I think you can. Okay, good. Yay. And let's use some of this red here. And bring back some of the red on his lips. I hope Marvel sees this drawing and gives me a job. Please, Marvel. Please, Marvel gods. Everything I see from the brand new day set makes me more and more excited. Agreed. I want that movie so badly. Like, it needs to hurry up and get made. I get it. They're working hard on it, but like, please hurry up. Dear Marvel gods, if you see this drawing, please hire me. Signed, Demaymayart. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Let me make the background a little like just like bluish, you know, Fantastic Four vibes. And I want it to be pretty messy. I do think I need more water than that though, so let's do this. Cool. My little thing to pat it away.